are here with the real star of Undercover, Billionaire, Matt Smith. Hello and welcome to Talk Business with Matt.
Good morning, or afternoon or evening, wherever you're at right now. I am awesome. Thank you.
It's so good to have you with us, Matt. I said to you before we started recording, we are huge fans of the show and you just come across so brilliantly in it. So we're really grateful for your time today.
Oh, bless your heart. I appreciate that. It's an honor to be here right now.
Thank you. Had you ever heard of Undercover Billionaire or Grant Cardone before the cameras turned up?
I have not. No. Obviously there was a bunch of cameras that showed up in our community and I had no idea of either or. They told us it was a documentary on Pueblo, Colorado, on the city that I live in and that I love. So I was under that impression for 6 months, I think. So yeah, it was a crazy ride, but yeah, I had no idea either one at the time.
Yeah, brilliant. You just mentioned Pueblo. Your series is filmed in Pueblo, and it really comes across how much you love it there. Tell us about it, and also tell us what you were doing before the show, and how has starring in the show changed things for you?
I'm just blessed and honored to be a part of this community. We have an amazing community, Pueblo, Colorado. Born and raised here myself. Been a serial entrepreneur, a dad in this community. I've owned several businesses. I think I've owned somewhere around 10 businesses in 10 completely different industries here in this community. I think that's one of the reasons that Grant was kind of pushed my direction a little bit, just because of some of the history and the love for this community. I was definitely a serial entrepreneur prior to this, but this has heavily elevated my life a little bit. We're inundated on a daily basis, just with special things. It's just a really, really cool thing to be a part of this. And it's not stopping anytime soon. It's been, we've been able to help with Grant and with Wake Up. We still talk pretty often. Snooze Mattress Company, that's been my thing for 20 years, and we've really elevated that, and we've sold a lot of franchises. We're going nationwide with that company right now. So just, it's really helped propel us a lot, and just, being in a relationship with Grant Cardone and his amazing team has definitely not hurt either.
Yeah, amazing. You come across as a really good guy in the show, Matt. How much of an impact did having all of the cameras in your face, having how much you went along with everything, and how different do you think it would have been if there were no cameras?
I think I appreciate that, by the way, but I think I am who I am, and I think even on the cameras, I think at the beginning there's a little bit more nerve-wracking trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And I learned early on the show that if I asked too many questions, that I was getting too many different answers. So I'm like, all right, something's going on here that I don't really know, but it's special. So just enjoy the ride, Matt Smith and Jenny. And I told my wife, like, let's just play the game and see what happens. This is awesome, and it's going to be a good thing for our community. And we have people all over. Certain people in our community are like, they're going to take advantage of you. Stay away from those camera crews. It's going to be a show that's going to make you a reality show that's going to really get in your face. And I'm like, I don't think so. It's a good thing. And the Discovery Channel, like, we're friends for life. All that team that was here is just really, really, really good humans. So did it affect some of the decisions? It probably helped some of the closings of some of the things that we did. But these were all, good friends as well, or different people in the community. But a lot of cameras in your face maybe makes you make a few decisions a little bit differently.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe. I've watched some of your interviews since the show was aired. Really interested as well. Like, you're obviously looking back at the show like we all are. How much of it is like edited in a slightly different way, where you're looking back at it for the first time thinking, wow, that didn't actually happen like that?
It's minimal, but there is, I think it's somewhere, probably in my eyes, somewhere around 80% of that is about as real as it gets, maybe even 90%. There's some things that they just changed the timelines. They changed a few things, but overall it was very, very real. I mean, Grant's drive and ambition and grind was very, very real. And the crazy part that, I didn't, until you guys saw it, I didn't see it either. Like, I'm watching this while everybody else was watching. I'm like, that's why he did that. Like, I had no idea what was going on, even that Grant and I have talked many times and hung out many times since, but I still didn't understand the process. And it helped me, because sometimes me and him butted heads and there was frustration between the two of us for different reasons. But then after I got to see his side of it, I'm like, all right, that makes sense. There's another side to the story that I had no idea was coming. So
yeah, brilliant. Grant turned up bald, but halfway through the process, he seemed to give up trying to disguise himself. He's a pretty famous guy. Did you or any of your friends get wind at any point of who he was?
There's one presentation towards the end of the show that Vern Larson, we went and talked to him, and we're talking to him, and he's with the mortgage company, and they were during the middle of the pitch, we're talking to him, telling him all the stuff we can do for their business, and he goes, "Wait, has anyone ever told you look like Grant Cardone?" And and Grant was like, I wish I had that guy's money, but yeah, I've been told that before. And he just smoothed right over the whole thing, and everybody in the room just blew over. We're like, yeah, there's no way Grant Cardone's in the office after he said that, and like he didn't realize that. Still to this day, Vern tells me that story. Vern's like, how did I know that I had Grant Cardone in my office, and I called him out, and I still just didn't do anything about it. Like I had no idea that Grant was there, and I believed him. He wasn't Grant, and he moved on. So yeah, there was a few little things like that towards the end. I think that there was a few people in the community that are like, hey, that looks like this famous guy, and there's just people that look like famous guys too. So you just kind of chalk that one up.
What did you learn most throughout the whole process, Matt?
Oh man, for overall, I think so many different life lessons, but always leave room for one thing I've said to a lot of people since is I've always tried to leave the 20% rule. I've always tried to leave room for shit like this when it happens, because life, you can't plan everything in life, and life is not about structure and like I got to do this, but you want to get as much as you can, but always leave room for change and for an opportunity like this. Like this was an opportunity of a lifetime for us, and I truly think that just embracing that and allowing yourself to say, hey, let's just take this ride and go for it was definitely a lesson. Hanging out with Grant, I think I move really fast, and I think my teams would tell you that I'm a fast mover. I always am making decisions and moving fast. But then hanging out with Grant, I'm like, oh man, this guy's a different level of speed. Like he literally, I'm chasing this guy around, and I'm like, okay. So I learned a lot about that, and just a passion, like his strategy and his strategic move on everything that he does is impressive. It's just mind-boggling. He's always thinking 10 steps ahead, and how do I 10x life, and how do I 10x things? And just, I learned a lot about business and about, in family, we had that in common too. Like me and him could talk all day about our family and stuff. So those are some of the lessons.
Brilliant.
Grant
doesn't come across like somebody who's self-censoring himself a lot. What's he like when the cameras are not rolling? Is he exactly the same as he is on camera?
Yeah, I think you guys saw it. Like, I don't think any of the world saw that before this show. The Grant's vulnerabilities and Grant being Grant, Grant behind the scenes when he was sick and when he was like upset or depressed or like trying to figure out life. Like that's Grant, but that's everybody in life. Like you see him on stage all day long, but you don't see the grind and what it takes to get to that stage all day long. And I think this really showed some vulnerabilities. And one thing that we always fought about was like just positivity. I would wake up every morning like, let's go, we're going to do this today. And he's like, you're too damn positive, Matt Smith. You need to calm down. And I'm like, nah, you're too negative. But he was never really a negative person, but he was a realist. He's always like, no, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm probably overly positive. That's just a trait of mine. But yeah, no, ultimately, yeah, you saw the real Grant Cardone really on this show.
Yeah. The cameras disappeared a while ago. How are all of your businesses doing now?
Oh, we're blessed. Yeah, we're blessed beyond belief. Yeah, we've got some amazing momentum on a lot of different things. But Wake Up, we've taken on a lot of nationwide clients. We've kind of got a waiting list on that. We're able to help a lot of small businesses and large businesses grow. Snooze, this was always my master plan with Snooze. We're going nationwide. We've franchised ours. We've got a bed that we're launching. So just really, really good. We just opened 2 more locations. About to open 5 more in Phoenix, Arizona. So just a lot of exciting things happening in our world. But yeah, the show definitely has not heard any of that.
Yeah, brilliant. One of the great things is when you were looking for a location, Grant's face when he realized that there was actually a stage within your office block. I'm really interested. Did you guys ever get an opportunity to renovate that? Do you use that now?
100%. We had a 72-hour kick-ass film fest on Saturday. And it was like a tear-jerking moment for me. Like I remember being in because even a year ago when we looked at this building, the theater had been closed for 35 years. And the show, after we started to see about getting it open, they were like, it's just not possible. It's not up to code. There's not this. It's not going to happen. The lighting, the pictures, all this. And I was like, I think we could do this. And after the Discovery Channel left, I put some blood, sweat, and tears into that thing to get it back opened. And this weekend we had a sold-out crowd for the first time in 35 years, and it was just a beautiful moment. And it's just such a cool theater. 160 people, something like that, fit in this little theater. It's actually right above me. So, and we've restored this entire building. You wouldn't even recognize this building from the show to now, but we've taken over the entire building. We've gutted it. We've restored it. You see, I still got a hot mess behind me, but we're still finishing the stuff. But it's been fun. This is the oldest building in Pueblo, Colorado, and we've been able to bring some life back into it.
Amazing. How are you coping personally with your celebrity status? And also, tell us about a brand new book that you've got coming out.
we got a couple different books, but yeah, I'm just blessed. It's still very weird to be at an airport and take selfies because somebody recognizes me. It's really, really weird, but it's an absolute honor. You know, it is what it is, but it is definitely, I'm not used to it yet. I still can't go. When I went to the 10X conference, I think I took 1,000 selfies with everybody there, and it was amazing, but it was still awkward. Even the last one, I'm like, this is just not me. I'm not a celebrity. This wasn't in my cards, but it's just been blessed.
Yeah.
And yeah, the book has been great. You know, the Serial Dad Preneur, I think I got it around here somewhere, but yeah, we have Serial Dad Preneur. That's just my book. And then I've got another one that should launch next week. It's called Make It a Great Day. It's just a children's book that I'm launching. And then I also have a book, 5.5 in 42 days. So just how me and Grant built this business in 42 days. So I got another one coming out on that. So just trying to tell the stories and, you know, capture some of the momentum going on right now.
That's awesome. Where's the best place for people to buy copies of those, Matt?
Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon. The Serial Dadpreneur will be on Audible as well. I just finished that and uploaded that, so that should be available. That probably is available right now. But yeah, Amazon, Audible.
Okay. Well, we're going to make sure that we've got links to those books in the descriptions below. You mentioned earlier on, you've always been in the habit of leaving 20% on the table to make sure that you've always got time for stuff. And I know you're also a really incredibly busy man. How do you manage to control your work-life balance?
You know, it's a great question, and it really is get up early. You know, I start the day before anybody in my family moves. I think that's been the key to my success, is getting up at 4:30 in the morning. I usually get 2 to 3 hours of just me figuring out my day, taking care of my body, going on a run, you know, taking care of my mind, starting to listen to the right podcasts and listen to the right things. So really starting the day off right, and then figuring out at minimum of 3 major accomplishments that I need to accomplish every single day. And then at the end of the day, always know that it's family time and take family first. Don't ever, anybody could work till midnight, because this stuff will never leave your desk. You always are going to have piles of paperwork. You're always going to have stuff to do. But at 5 o'clock, go see that family and kiss those babies. You know, it's just a rule of mine that it is what it is. Like, I rarely work weekends or work nights, because my family is my priority and they are who they are. So just making sure that you don't work yourself to death, and figure out how to balance that. In my book, I call it bending time, but it's just figuring out how to steal the little time throughout the day and get work done without your family even noticing it, so it doesn't affect you being a dad or a husband. And then also getting up early, you know, get up before they do. Some people are night owls, stay up later than them. That's fine, but just give yourself that time to get it done, as opposed to all day, every day working.
It really came across in the show how important your family was to you and to Grant. What are the key lessons in business that you want your kids to learn from you?
You know, you only live once. I think, you know, my kids are that, like, just give it your all, give it 100%, and just don't give up. You know, I think that life is an absolute beautiful journey, but don't take it too seriously, and enjoy the ride, and do things that you love. Don't do things for somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, too many people get stuck in a rut, and they do something for somebody else as opposed to what they want to do out of life. And nobody's getting out of here alive. You only got one chance at this, so you might as well do what you love. And yeah, that would definitely be my advice to my kids: is do you. Yeah. Don't do anybody else. You do you.
When you sat back and watched the show for the first time, what bit stood out as your favorite part of the show?
Oh, that's a good question.
The valuation.
Yeah, the valuation was surprising. Yeah, that was a fun time. I think throwing Grant in the water was a good time. I think rappelling from the largest building in Pueblo, tallest building, was a blast. I mean, just doing that with Grant and the camera crews all around us was just a really cool time. You know, I think the whole process, I really enjoyed this journey. And I remember probably the first week, I was nervous. I was like, what the heck is going on here? The unknown was driving me crazy. The cameras everywhere would make me a little bit nervous. I just didn't know if I was myself. And then about a week into it, I think you just start to embrace it, and you're like, screw it. If they decide to take this and make it into something else, it is what it is. I'm a part of this. I'm pot committed. Let's go. You know, so you know, because you always worry about what you're saying. Even like a podcast like this, sometimes you're like, oh, that's not what I meant. Somebody could perceive that completely differently. So you always are thinking like, oh, am I saying this right? Or what are they going to perceive out of this? So yeah, but yeah, it was an absolute honor. The whole thing was just so much fun.
Brilliant. What's your funniest memory of Grant Cardone?
My funniest memory was probably when we painted this building together. And I've got some videos of it. Is him and my kids started painting, And the next thing you know, my kids got paint on their hand, and then they painted Grant, and then Grant painted them, and it became this entire paint flapping everywhere. And then Grant ended up painting the camera crew, which ended up really pissing off some guys on the camera crew because they had their favorite nice shirt on or whatever it was, and Grant put his handprint on it, and it was a permanent print of paint, and it just, some people weren't happy, but it was so much fun love, and it was totally just genuine. And then that night, my kid sent him a voice message. It was like, Uncle Lewis, I got paint on you, and you're going down. And Grant sent them back, or Lewis at the time, he's like, sent this paint all over me. He's like, I'm coming from you kids, and I'm bringing my kids back here to fight you kids, and it's going to be a paint war. And it was just a fun time. It was a very family, fun, genuine time. A lot of that didn't make the show, but it was cool. Grant's he's a fun-loving guy.
If you could go back and do it all again, would you do anything differently?
No, I don't think I have any regrets. I'm not a really regretful kind of guy, but no, I think the whole thing played out beautifully. We employ 25 people in this building right now, 30 people in this building. We've got people flying, have moved from around the world to work here. We've re-brought life into a building that didn't exist. It's just, everything about this thing has just been an absolute cool blessing. And no, I wouldn't change a thing.
Yeah. Your life for 90 days was pretty public, but what's one thing about you that would surprise fans of the show?
One thing about me that would surprise fans. I think I talked about in the first chapter of my book, I was stabbed in high school, and that was the best thing that ever happened to me. So that's probably something that nobody realizes about me, because I'm a very business, straightforward family guy, but it took me some hard knocks. I grew up with a single mom with two kids, and there was a point in my life that I was into some trouble, and I got stabbed right out of high school. And it was by far the best thing that ever happened to me. It grew me up. It changed my path in life, and I never went back. So, yeah, that's probably something that nobody would ever know about me. Yeah.
Well, there's a reason to go and buy the book, right, Matt?
There you go. It's first chapter of the book. Talks about me getting stabbed. Absolutely.
Do you have any closing thoughts? And also, how can people follow you on your journey?
Fitness-Pueblo is my Instagram, my LinkedIn, Facebook. It's Matt Smith, Dad Preneur. Matt Smith, or Dad Preneur. SerialDadPreneur.com is our website that you can buy the book. You can look at the book and everything. So I'm on all platforms, so you can find me pretty much anywhere.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to go and grab all of those links and make sure that they're in the description below. So wherever you're watching this or listening to this, make sure you check those out. Matt, thanks again for your time. Well done with the show, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
You as well, David. I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me today. And just a little bit I get to know you today. You seem like a really genuine, good human being. So thanks for your time, man.
God bless you. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you.